Good morning, Miracle Swingers. I have a story I wanted to tell you guys. I've got several videos I'm working on. So busy, but I wanted to just do one of these live vlogs to tell you that I played as a pro yesterday for the first time in my life. Um, the gentleman that runs the Golden State Tour here in California, he invited me to play as a professional in a golf tournament that was for the PIH Health Foundation. It's like, I guess they had 36 groups and it's a charity event, I believe. And it was a pro-am, so it was a four-man scramble and everybody got a pro teamed with them. And they called it a shamble, meaning that they could choose the pro's tee shot on any hole, but they played out the rest of the hole while the pro played his ball. And if the pro's score was better than the team's score, you could combine them. And I played with three beginners. One of the guys didn't make it out. And we shot 9 under par on the hardest golf course that I know of. Okay, so that was pretty crazy. But let me tell you the reason why I want to, well, there's two main reasons I want to tell you this story. First of all, is the first time anybody had ever asked me to play as a professional. It was I mean, I'm not a pro that can make a living playing golf yet. Everybody's got a dream, right? Um, but I was invited, it's my friend Danny knew him and mentioned my name, threw it in the pot, and he's like, yeah, I'd love for him to play. And so first I'm out here on the driving range and I've never seen that many good golfers ever. Like it's like pro, amateur, pro, amateur, pro, amateur, pro. And the guys that knew each other were all chit-chatting and talking, hey man, what are you playing on? And blah, 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 blah. And I just go down to the end of the range. There was just one stall left open on the bottom floor. And I started hitting golf balls and, started off a little clunky and just started getting it loose and everything. But the reason I tell you this is because I wasn't really nervous. I was like, if this was me a year ago, I would have been an absolute nervous wreck. Okay. But I was like, whatever. I'm just gonna do the best that I can, and I've got a solid game. That's what's so incredible. It's like, I've got a solid game to play against these guys. The pros had a skins game pot that we all participated in. So that was the big thing there. So at any rate, we go and we tee off. My group teed off on number 15, and we were right next to Danny's group. They went off in front of us. And okay, now's when I had to tell you the reason why this is a big deal. Okay, I shot 77, whatever. This is the hardest course. It's the most claustrophobic course that I know of. Being a wild golfer for my whole life, spraying the ball all over the place, a really tight course with narrow sight lines is very challenging for me mentally. Okay. So we start on 15. I go bogey, bogey, par, bogey to start. And I feel kind of badly because the group that I'm playing with, I'm sure they were like, so this guy's the pro, and I kept telling myself this one thing. I picked it up from Rory McIlroy. I said it in my last video. I don't want my golf to influence my attitude. I want my attitude to influence my golf. I figured it out. I wasn't taking the club back inside enough. You guys all know about my over-the-top miracle swing. It requires an inside takeaway. Well, the next 13 holes, I played some great golf. Okay. And it was really, really cool. So the very first hole, we do the turn, and I'm on number 1. Number 1 is the scariest tee shot I've ever seen in all of golf. Okay. You're playing on the side of a mountain. The blue tees, I'd never even played from the blue tees before. You got to hit over this edge of a canyon. There's a bacon strip fairway. You cannot see the landing. All you see is the opening to a fairway. The fairway runs out at about 230. There's trees. So you must hit a cut into a narrow chute that goes down a hill, and you can't see it. It's like having to hit the ball down a Hot Wheels track. And so this was my fifth hole, I think. Yeah. And so I pulled out my 3-wood and just threaded the needle. Then I hit a wedge about 4 feet under the hole, birdied it. The most intimidating hole I've ever played, maybe, and I birdied it. And it was like, it's not the longest hole. It's just I can't remember ever hitting the fairway. So at any rate, I kept playing. I birdied number 9. Everything was going really, really great. And then on my 17th hole, I hit a great 7-iron into this par 3, and I had a birdie putt. And I'm like, man, if I make another birdie, then I'm really looking good. And I want to kick myself because I ran it 5 feet past the hole, above the hole. So I had a ticklish downhiller coming back, and I 3-putted. And then I missed the green on the next hole, and I missed my up and down. So I kind of stumbled in, which I hate doing that. I've been doing that lately. But the bulk of the round, what I want to tell you is I've got my game is solid. It's trending in the right direction. My driver was loose in the beginning, my tee shots, but I got that figured out, hit the ball well on the tightest course ever, the tightest course I've ever played in my life. My irons were outstanding. I didn't really hit a shot. Oh, let me tell you this. I missed 6 birdie putts that were within probably 5 to 12 feet. Like, I was on when I only made 2 birdies, but I literally could have made like 7 or 8 birdies. Like, not even crazy. I just hit the ball so well. My putting was not, I think my putting was good. I was lipping out and just burning the edges on a tricky, you're playing on the side of a mountain. The breaks are crazy. A lot of them, I hit one birdie putt, and I'm like waiting for it to drop to the left, and it falls to the right. And it's like, how does that happen? So at any rate, when we were all finished, Danny talked to me about, my round, and he's like, that's great. What'd you shoot and everything? I'm like, man, I shot 77, only made 2 birdies. And he's like, okay, we looked at the board, and I don't even know if there were any skins. That whole board was just filled. You got 36 pros. They're birdieing every freaking hole, yeah, like one par 3 was 240 yards. I was like, oh my gosh. It was hard. They play US Open qualifiers at this course. But the thing that Danny told me was, he's like, Christo, your game is there. And he put something in perspective. He's like, you played better than a lot of the pros that were in this event. You're not like, the last guy. Like, you played well. And, not that 77 is such a great score, but yeah, it's a pretty darn tough golf course. There are a lot of people over par. And I didn't make a fool out of myself. I played pretty well. So at the end of the day, I just wanted to tell you guys that story, because the humble beginnings of my swing evolution, to tee it up against 36 pros for the first time, not be crazy nervous, get off to a bad start, but right the ship, and almost shoot a pretty good score. Like, it was an okay score, nothing stellar, but it's a remarkable transformation of my game. And generally speaking, I think the game held up. My wedge play, short play, putting in general, I had 1 or 2 3 putts. But in general, it was a pretty darn good day overall. So I love you guys. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this long story. But this is a crazy thing, you know. I'm playing in these skins games with pros, and I think that that's what's helped me to level up my game. Now, I honest to God feel like when I go back to Brookside, which is another championship course, I think I'm looking to start going really low. I had 5 birdies on Tuesday, you know, so that's the second time I've done that now, and I think that some really good golf is on the way. So Sydney, thank you. He says, "Well done." Oh, hey buddy, awesome job. I'll see you in a week. You coming up for the MSC intensive? I got a question. Would Titleist 910 driver and 4 would be a good option? Yeah, the Titleist 910 is one of my favorite drivers of all time. As long as it's not beat to death, you know, those drivers are really good. And the core restitution, the trampoline effect has been limited in drivers since 2003. So, you know, it should be as hot as any other driver, you know. Um, Truth, life, and fishing. Clearly, the game structure is theirs, which only needs serious practice. Your next frontier is the mind. Um, yeah, yeah. But I think that you can't get to the mental work until you know that you can control the ball in all shots. So that's where I'm at now. You're absolutely right. I'm trying to learn to play the course between my two ears, the 5-inch course between my two ears. That's what Bobby Jones said. And I'll leave you with one more tidbit that I like a lot. Harry Varden, he said he expects to hit 7 bad shots around. And so if he hits one that's not very good, he just says, well, that's one of my 7 bad shots. So that's another thing I just try to tell myself is, you know, let my attitude influence my golf. And if I hit a bad shot, everybody hits a bad shot. Don't dwell on it. All right, guys, I love you. Hit them long and hit them straight.